Alright guys, you got your boy Jet Stingren here today, and today we are back with some reverse 99 content, and today we are here to talk about the boy Aleph. We're going to be showcasing him off in today's video. I want to give a special thanks to my good friend Kuro. He's letting me use his account for the showcase because I did not pull for Aleph personally. I don't plan to because I don't own Barkiola, so unless I magically get Barkiola from out of the sky or something, maybe I might come back for Alf at a different time, maybe on a rerun or something. But as of currently, I'm not pulling for Alf because, yeah, I mean, he is actually pretty viable to use on his own. I do want to talk about that more in the teams video, but for what it's worth for right now, I think it's just not in the cards for me. I need to save my pulls for something more important anyway. But anyway, let's get right into it and let's talk about the boy Alf. So Alf, our favorite mentally deranged human, has finally revealed himself to be out in the second half of 2.6. Now, here's the cool thing. He's actually human. He's a human. You can tell that he's human because he has this special reasoning effect and not renaissance, or so to speak. So your resonances, which is I don't know, I can get that word out there, but resonance is normally when you're an arcanist, but reasoning is when you're human. You can see the same thing with like Ezra, for example, which is actually pretty cool. But anyway, let's talk about his inheritance, skills, cube choices, portraits, and all that good stuff. Very, very, very important to talk about his stuff. So his insight one is max Eureka plus 2. Whenever an ally consumes Eureka, accumulate points of his inspiration. At the start of the round, he gains Eureka plus 4. Whenever an ally in the clarification status casts a incantation, Alpha will consume one Eureka to make the instance of impromptu incantation this round and put the interpretation status on a target hit. So inspiration is your basic impromptu stuff, you know. You spend skills with little markers on them, you get inspiration, and then those are going to trigger your impromptu based attacks, which is very similar. It's no different here. But when he puts the interpretation status, it inflicts a pretty cool debuff. It's mental defense minus 10%, damage taken reduction minus 10% for each attack that inflicts mental defense minus 2%, and damage taken up minus 2%. Lasts for 3 rounds, it stacks up to 8 times. So this is a pretty nice debuff and a nice little damage taken reduction buff. Not bad at all. This actually makes Alf playable in other comps outside of Impromptu. I've been seeing a lot of people play him outside of Impromptu to some success. Even in the latest forms of Reveries, I've seen people run Alf on his own without like no other Impromptu support, which is pretty cool. That's actually really cool because this mental shred combined with other shred instances or other units who can really make full utilization of the mental shred actually do like this effect. So that's a really cool thing just off of the I1 that he can actually be usable at other teams, which again, I'll expound on that more when I do the teams video for Alf. Insight 2, very simple, just damage taken plus up effect, just 8%, nice. And Insight 3 is actually pretty cool. Each time this unit consumes Eureka, there is a 50% chance he will recover one of the Eureka. This is very, very good because this gives him continuous ability to have the ability to put up more stacks of interpretation. Because if he's consistently draining his Eureka, then he won't be able to put up interpretation stacks, which then makes the debuff fall off a little bit more quicker and it makes it weaker in comparison. But at least now with this, you can actually do that, and that's actually really, really cool. So now let's talk about his skills. So his first skill is going to be the most important one, which it is a one target attack that deals up to 400% mental damage and grants continuous action for 1 round. This says 2 because he's P1. After the attack, consumes 2 Eureka and gains attack instance +1 to impromptu incantation for the round, which of course again, very, very helpful for that I3. Now, the reason why this is important is because it gives a continuous action effect. If you guys don't know, Flutter Page has this very same effect, and it's also very much tied to the portrait. It's the exact same for Flutter Page as it is for Alpha, how important it is, because this again allows for your units to do more within that one turn. Yes, it's +1 AP, right? But that +1 AP opens up so much, especially in an impromptu team, because you're really scounging the way to really find a way to use your cards as best as you possibly can to get the highest amount of effectiveness with your inspiration build. So when you're getting those numbers off those cards, you want to be able to throw off your skills as effectively as quickly as you possibly can by getting high numbers, so that way your impromptu attacks can deal a lot of damage, right? But only having 4 actions, that could be tricky. This is why Flutter Page was such a great option for the budget, well, for the previous version of Impromptu, Alf definitely takes her place now because he provides the same thing. He doesn't provide the supportive bonus like the damage dealt up in the follow-up attack or anything like that, but he provides a great option of a person that can consume Eureka, AP action effect, and of course supporting with mental debuff, which is also good for inspiration attacks because they are mental based. So that is really cool. It's a really good skill. It's very effective. It's very strong. So that's why it's very, very important. And his new effect, his new buff card, is Idealist Decoration, which can grant him up to 3 stacks of clarification to all allies for 3 rounds. Consumes 2 stacks of lyric to put up an additional stack of clarification on allies for 3 rounds. So he can basically give you anywhere up to 2 to 3. I think 2 to 3 is the most comfortable way you can say it. You probably won't be seeing the 3 too much, but 1 and 2 you're probably going to see a little bit more common. But as you remember, clarification gives you incantation might up effect, which is not bad. It stacks up individually. One cast of the 3-star will give you max stacks, which is 40% incantation might, which is not bad. I mean, that's still a little bit extra damage for the character. So there's that. And then we're going to talk about his ultimate, and it's a self-channeling effect where he will go into the memorize effect for the first 2 base incantation actively cast this round, and then he will enter the hypothermia status. This status basically does a lot. As you can see, it does all of this. This is a lot to read, but the general TLDR of this is it's gonna copy the last 2 incantations you did for that round, and then at the start of the next round he'll cast his ult. This is going to make your impromptu deal a little bit more extra damage. As you can see right here down at this bottom part, it's gonna start dealing a lot more damage because the little form crystal that appears is gonna look different. And when he comes out of this channeling effect, he will actually get 1 individual use of both his cards, and that's going to actually add towards the impromptu effect as well. So that's generally the TLDR without me having to read it for a long time and not make this video like 20-30 minutes. I'm trying to get a little bit better. I know you guys, I've seen a lot of feedback about that, and I'm trying to get it as low as possible. But just the general TLDR is that he will go into the status, he will copy the last 2 cards. So it's imperative when you get Alf's ultimate, you want to make sure you're using both of his skills before the ultimate. Use both skills, then ult, because then he will copy those last 2 skills. It's very important that you do that. Whether you can use the 1.9 tuning effect to generate both the cards just straight up, or you can try to re-roll for them on the initial thing that we use, the initial tuning that we use to actually get the effect going. Whichever one, I do think the 1.9 way is a little bit easier because all you simply need to do is just go click Alf, boom, both the cards are there as precast, and he can copy that still. So for what it's worth, it is what it is. So again, pretty cool ultimate. It just puts him in the channeling effect, and then he triggers all those additional effects that come off of the ult. Next up is his cube choice. Honestly, just go get his signature. Like, it's hard to recommend outside options because most of the time you really are looking for a way to boost up damage because he himself isn't doing the damage. So you want options that can net you damage for like impromptu. So for his particular case, just get his own cube. That's it. Like, thankfully you can just simply go out and buy it in the cube shop for 210 of the more higher tier currency, and that's really just it. I think that's like the only option. You just want to go mental gauge. Normal options like the standard of the other cubes, like the more budget options, don't really work for Alf because again, he's not going to be the one really doing the damage here. So that is that. Let's talk about his portraits here. His portrait is of the effect. P1 is very, very, very important. So P1 does the following. It gives him the chance to recover 50% Eureka, which is tied to his I3, and it gives him an additional round for the continuous action effect. The continuous action on this is insane. insane. I keep telling you this about every time I tell people about Flutter Page and whether or not you should chase for the P1 on her. I always say that it's actually a really good pickup because again, that extra breathing room, so that means you don't have to cast his attack card every single turn. It gives you a little bit of leeway just in case if card RNG doesn't work for you, or you get into a little bit of bad luck and you don't get this every single turn, or you have to try to re-roll for it or something. So at least it gives you a little bit of breathing room. That's personally what I would think, but yeah. P2 makes his debuff a little bit more stronger, which is cool. As you see, interpretation now will inflict minus 33% of mental damage and damage taken effect. P3 improves the extra bonus effect that comes off of your ultimate. So it does an additional, it does this amount, then it changes it to 160, which effectively doubles it, which is nice. And then the attack instances is granted to +4, which is really strong. P4 is clarification incantation. My bonus is changed to 15%, which I believe at a max of 4 stacks, I believe that's 60% incantation might up, which is, that's tough. Anyway, P5, which then increases it another big amount. As you can see, it goes from 80 to 160, then to 240, and then his debuff is now improved by an additional percent more to now 5% shred. So now it's from there, so it goes from P2 to P5 to improve his debuff to now 5 of this, which is again really, really strong. It's just gonna make his damage output, well, it's gonna make Impromptu's damage output a lot more stronger. But if you want to know my honest opinion, very much so, you should just simply use his own cube. Get him to P1 if you want. Again, P0 I would always say is fine, but if you want just a little bit of extra comfort, go P1 if you can. But if you're looking to save your pools, just stop at P0. I say this every single time when I do recommend like a tier higher unit like Yongyu or Flutter Page as prime examples. I say if it's not within your budget to be able to chase a P1, just be fine with the P0. Every single time I say this, every single time. Anyway, that's over his build. This is his build right here. Just a generic build that you probably go with. If you wanted to go with pattern, then you would just go G Unity just for extra incantation might. His ult doesn't deal any damage, so you don't necessarily have to run the ult build because again, your ult's not damaging. So you go incantation might just to make him hit a little bit harder, which is cool. But this is what our Aleph looks like. This is what he is here. And let's go ahead and let's take him to a stage to show him off. Alright, so this is what we're going to be using, pretty much the premium impromptu team. This is the best that you can ever really run in impromptu, so this is what we're going to be running. We're going to be running Barca, Aleph, Voyager, and of course Kakania as our sustain option. Let's get right into it. So, for what it's worth, we're just going to go ahead and do what we can to, of course, try to nuke this bubble as quickly as we possibly can. Let's see, we got some pretty good starting rotations. Let's do this first to give us a little bit of extra boost. Let's just this, and I guess we can do this for the extra amount. Sure, we do this for the extra impromptu. Barely built and he already did like 1/3, which is kind of funny. Let me see. We can combine these two to give him a little extra AP. We could do that. That gives me now a 3. Let's do this to build up some stacks on you, and sure. There we go. We got the inspiration going. So this won't be a crazy turn for impromptu. Just gonna hit for a little bit. See? But it still does some decent damage though. Alright, he's taunting this turn, which is annoying. So let's heal you up. Actually, do you have? Yeah, we can do the 1-star for extra impromptu. We can actually get both of their ults going this turn, which is actually going to be pretty vital that we do that. So let's this. That gets his ult going. This. And do we want to attack? I don't think we want to do this. I mean, I guess we can give ourselves more stacks of clarification. I don't think it really necessarily matters. Yeah, that's a decent amount. This is gonna hurt us a little bit though, because he's countering. So that's the only annoying thing I don't like about this fight. Boom. Okay, so he's disabled this round. Cool. So we're good. I think we're good to kind of pop ult and then kind of just, ooh, we got a really good turn on our hands. This is a really good turn. Because we have triple ult. We have triple ult. This is really good, actually. This is just if we play it right. Let me check your... Okay, it's super low. Okay, let's this to see if we can maybe disable him for the turn. We can also do... Oh, wait, we don't have any Aleph cards. Ooh. Yeah, we need to do that because we got a copy of stuff. So maybe we can just set up Barco's ult next turn. Cause, oh shoot, we can't even do that. Never mind. So I guess we can just do this, and then we can go into his ult. Cause then I can do her effect to bounce on the him. Cause we'll still hit some decent numbers here because we'll still hit decent numbers because of Voyager. So even if these aren't casting anything, we'll still hit something, which is I think is going to be the game plan. That should disable him though. Yep, disabled. Cool. So this buys us the turn that we need. Okay, so now he's going to go into his effect. Again, he won't hurt here too much this turn. Alright, so now we can... This. Yep. Can I fit all this in? I think I can. We will ult to Aleph. We will set up this, set up that, and do we just, I mean, it doesn't really matter which one of these do we use, to be honest. It really doesn't matter. Alright, there we go. So now he's going to do his ult, which is going to give the impromptu crystal a little bit of a different effect. You can see it when it pops up. As you can see right there, there it is. And then she is going to make this go a little bit higher because of her ult. And then, of course, the quartet status is going to help. I'm pretty sure this kills right here, I believe. This should kill anyway. Because this is also going to help too. Yep. And 15. Yep. You saw that last hit. Ooh, that last hit. 82k. Ooh, boy. But yeah, that is just the general power of Impromptu. Impromptu is a really strong team, honestly. It just sucks that Impromptu kind of just needs its more specific partners in order for it to really like succeed. Like you gotta have like these to be the best. You know what I mean? When I talk about the teams video in the next video, I'll talk about, you know, options that you can run with him. But for what it's worth, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good team setup. It's really strong. If you have Barca, I do recommend you pull out for the extra bonus and stuff. He's effectively around a 50% damaging bonus for Impromptu, so I would actually recommend. He's also a better slot to put in because of his +1 AP being, you know, similar to what Fluttered Page did in the initial Impromptu team. But anyway, This has been your boy Jet Stingren. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.